Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US tech stocks. We'll look at the SPX and the NASDAQ. We won't look at the futures market, just the cash markets. And we'll also look at an alternative count for, well, I'll have a look at two alternative accounts actually, one from our member. And this particular count here, we've got as it's just a 1 hour chart, so that's the top of the markets over here. And we've got our ABC pattern down here for wave 2. And we're looking for 5 waves up, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're going up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll look at that in a bit of detail in a moment. And that would give us a little 5-wave structure here to get to wave 1, and then an ABC correction. Pay no attention to how far it comes back. That's something we'll need to work through. Now, the other alternative count here is, if I just go into my alternative count section here, that takes us up a little bit further, because it's always important to have a plan to stay with the trend, right? So to fight the trend or fight the feds, all that sort of stuff, you know the stories. So in this case, we look at 1 and 2 to here. This can go over to there, not a big deal, but 1 and 2, and looking for the third wave up here. So it actually gives us an extra leg at this particular point in time. Now, I talked about it last week, and I'll continue to talk about it this week. And yeah, so it'll just depend on, you know, we don't need to do anything in this pullback here, because it's either going to be wave 4 or it's going to be wave 2. So it's just something that we have to work through, and there'll be points or parts of, I mean, I'll understand the structures in, you know, on an intraday basis, but initially I won't understand if it's a wave 4 or wave 2. So that will just come in time. So there will be times there where a period of time where we won't know what's going on, but we'll understand the internal structures, but we just won't understand the whole story at that point. So they're the two structures. The other account came from one of our members, and this is quite a practical count as well. This is the actual NASDAQ, but the S&P is the same. So he's bypassed this move down here, which I can understand too, because because we can look at this as 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4 and 5 here. Even though it hasn't made a new low here, there's still a good case to have 5 waves down here, and there's many stocks that we can look at with just wave 1 to the upside. So there is a good case for this here, even though it's a little bit confusing. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 up here for a larger wave 4. So we'll just see how complicated this gets at this particular point in time. So, but I think it's really healthy to have different counts, because it really makes us think, and then we can kind of figure out at exactly what point are we going to be long or short, or right or wrong, all these sorts of things. But I never really see it as being right or wrong, and that way I don't get I don't beat myself up emotionally, because it's tricky enough as it is, let alone sort of beating yourself up with it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, anyway, that's that. And back over here, and I'll just go back to the original count. So this one of the reasons that I like this alternative count, by the way, is that, you know, as you know, I always look for coming around a large number. If this is 6,000 on the S&P here, I always look for this particular pattern. This is the first pattern that I look for. I only really see 3 patterns. This is the second most common pattern, and it just doesn't drop down below the level. And the third one here is where it doesn't stop at the level here, but eventually runs out of steam and drops back, and the large number in here, the 6,000, becomes the balance line. Now, because we have already reacted from that point, we'll either have this one, because we've already reacted from the 6,000 and we're here and we're going up here now. So we could have this, but it's more likely we're going to have this here where it drops down below the level. So in that case, so we've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC correction, and so on. So here, this is the 6,000 here, and then we've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level in 5 little waves up here, and then the ABC pattern, and then up. So this will be quite interesting here, how this sort of plays out. And even though the 6,000 is important, a little bit like 7,000, they are important numbers, but they're not more important than the 6,500. Now, you'd have to go back into charts and have a look at the pull of that. It's just that 7,000 is important and 6,000 is important, and this becomes the center, the balance point between those two large numbers, and this is where we get trade setups and use all sorts of things in there. I'm just going to go back to to this particular count here and go from the hourly chart down down into 15 minutes here. And so we've got wave 3, 4 here, and last week, Monday morning, got to get all the brain cells working, but basically, as you know, we're looking for wave 1 and wave 2. Now, it got a little bit messy in here and dropped down to obviously the 50-60%, and then is making its way back up here now. I'll just drop this into 5 here now. I'll just drop this in here as well. So look, I could put wave 1 just in on top here, but this is just a little bit sort of short there. There's a lot of stocks I'm looking at that will put the wave 1 top in here, but it could just be over here a little bit. But the main point here, as you can see, is that we have this move up here, but we don't have an ABC correction for it at this stage. So if we put in a little ABC pattern here, it'll be something like that. So if you're looking for a long trade, then this, oops, daisy, maybe I've got it in there already. I didn't even check. No, I didn't, but there we go. So we're going to have some sort of little ABC pattern. We had that sort of long trade over there. I think we got snapped in there, but that's cool. Because we got a bullish count here. But basically, you know, we're going to get, we've either got a top in or we get another move up here, but at the same time there's going to be some sort of rebalance of this trend here. Now, once again, I don't know if it's going to pull back to the 50-60% or it's going to be just back at 40%. I don't know, but it will be a dance around the 5-9 in one way or another, and that B wave will be your ticket to get in at that point. So a breach of that B wave, wherever that comes in at that point. So that's kind of it, really. So I could put a top in here, but I'll just leave it, because you know the futures market, when they open, I haven't even checked the futures just yet either for that. But anyway, so that's that. Let's just move along to the NASDAQ. So I'll just stay on the 5-minute chart here for the NDX here, and yeah, so we have a nice 5 waves up here. We're looking for the ABC to pull back, so we've got that now. Came a little bit lower than I thought it would have, because I thought Friday would have been a bit more positive, but it fell out of bed first and then recovered. And we do have a nice impulse wave up. Coming up here, and this 21,300 here, that would be the group 1 in terms of the trading levels. That would be group 1 of the 21,000 here. So that's going to be really important. And then after number 3, because we use the Fibonacci sequence as a price ratio, so 3 and then 5 here. So once again, you also want to be looking for the ABC back here again for that, you know. So not enough data there. So yeah, I could put this on here. Let me look at this. Yeah, I just don't know about that top, but you know, the main point here is that yes, it could go up here a bit further, or it could just go straight into. I'll just take it up there, but basically there's going to be some type of little rebalance on that trend. Okay, so if you can't work the 300 in here, the 21,300, then you'll also look to add on top of the 21.5 at that point. Okay, let's have a look at stock. So this is Apple, and I'm just going to stay on the 5-minute chart here. Now, we also have an entry here. I've got the stop here. Now, Apple in the bigger picture has got a different count. It's been one of the weaker particular stocks for there's a good half a dozen reasons why it's weaker. I don't need to go into those. But in terms of the technicals here, once again, we've got the same pattern here as the rest of the market. So it should just sort of follow that, and just looking at 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for 1 and 2. You could also put this wave 1 sitting over here as well with 1 and 2 here. So there's a couple of ways to count that to the upside. If you're not long and you want to go long, then also just wait for that little B wave to come into play there as well. But this is really good because basically what we're seeing here is we're seeing this market try to find support for itself on the 200, the closest, largest number. Is it support yet? No, not really. So this little move up here is fantastic, and when it comes back again, then what we would normally do is go long above the top, wherever the top is, and that might push up there on the open and come back down. You know how the opens work. But basically, once this trend here is done, then you would put this on top of that, and then you would come down to the second high here, and once that's breached, you're on, because then that would be telling you at that point that this number here is support. Now you can read all of that also through the volume as well, and or you could read them both together because the volume confirms the price action. So that's looking quite good, and because this is impulsive here, then we should see another move to the upside. Okay, over to Amazon, and Amazon hasn't been a very strong stock either. You know, I mean, they're all being caught up in the tariff situation, and we've got wave 3 here, wave 4 here, and it's come down here, and you know, it's got an impulse wave up here, which is good, and then we've got our ABC back here again, so that's good. And now we've got an impulse wave coming up here, so from the low here to the top here, and I'm just assuming the top's in, but we could even get another little move up here, right? So what you're looking for at the end of the day, no matter if it does push up or not, we're still looking for some type of little ABC correction here. Now it doesn't have to be huge, but it should be something or other, you know. And I'm just going to take it up to here because it could, you know, looking for those types of things here. This is also playing out at 205. So from 200 here, 1, 2, 3, 5, and then 8 to make up 10 up here, and then the power of 10, so 10, 20, 30 to the upside. So just work through those levels there. So it could pull all the way back down here, but there is good consolidation or good support, you know, on these areas, this one, and this one here. So that would be probably most likely, so just around the 204 mark here for any sort of pullback at that point. But yeah, I would be, you know, I mean, the obvious thing here is that this trend here has not been rebalanced, it's not been corrected, and there's it's going to happen soon, whichever way you want to count this. Now, I've counted this a little bit differently here because you can put wave 1 here, but I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for 1 and 2. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. So I'm just assuming that's the top there, but it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So, but either way, that's, you know, when we talked on Friday, everything's going pretty much according to plan. So that's good in the bullish trend. Okay, we've got Nvidia here. Nvidia's been one of the stronger ones, and from the low down here, we're looking at wave 1. Now, on the aftermarket, this top here was above this top here, so we can count this up as 5 waves, so I don't have a problem with 1 and 2 here. This whole structure here can be counted differently. I've got it currently pretty much the same as the other market, so I've got wave 4 here with coming over here with wave 1 and an ABC back for wave 2. Now, I don't like this ABC for wave 2 here. I don't even have a very nice impulse wave here. I could get away with it, but it could also be counted differently as well here. So I'll just look at this alternative count that's a little bit sort of cleaner to the upside. So we've got, in this instance here, we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 here. So in this case, we've got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we can count this up a little bit differently. And in this instance here, we can also count this down from the top here as 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here for the third wave, the fourth wave. If we get a drop here, then there's a good case to have 5 waves here. And if we get 5 waves here, because you remember those other markets we just looked at, they've got to pull back for an ABC pattern. So if this pulls back and just takes this low out here, then that could create us 5 waves here. And if we do have 5 waves here, then we're going to get some sort of ABC back to the 138 area and then down again for here as well. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to play out, but just to let you know that it might not be as simple. But the thing is, we do have a couple of positions in here, but we don't have to really worry about it, because whichever way you want to look at this, there's still further upside here, and we want to be looking at least 150 at this point. So but you know, you don't want to have your stop too close, because it can come back and test this wave 4 with the other count, which would be the wave 4 one lesser degree. So yeah, the pathway for this is either we go up as with the other markets, or we have a little move down, go up, and then move down, and then go up. So there's a little bit of a difference in here, but you know, I wouldn't sort of, the 130 is going to be a good support. Could come down to, because when you think about a number, every number's got a group 1 and group 2. So the 128 and the group 2 below the 130 would be the support for that 130. You know, so you'd want to keep stops under the 126.50, because 126.50 is the lower end of subgroup 2. So it has to be under 126.50, and you don't want to put it at 49 or 48, so you'll either 46. So the stop should be 126.46 or 126.42. That's as close as you could get there. Any closer, and you know, you're poking the snake with a stick at that point. So good luck. Okay, let's move on. Over to Meta. So we've got Meta's had this wave 3 and 4 here, nice ABC, well, reasonable, messy anyway for wave 4. So we've got wave 1 and wave 2 here. We're at the medium level 650, 65 number. It's not support yet, but I would imagine that it will be support at some point. Now, you know that alternative count that I said at the beginning there with the S&P, where we had that extra leg up there? Well, then we would need to apply that to all stocks as well. So even that we've got wave 4 here, minor wave 4 going 1, 2, 3, 4, going for minor wave 5 up here of wave 1 here. Now, that may not be the case. This top here may end up just being, we might need to move this wave 3 over here, because they'll all top together in their own little way, you know. Most of them will. So so we may need to lift this up further, because it is important to stay with the trend. Like picking tops and picking bottoms, it's a bit of a mug's game. You can get it, you know, and but you just, you know, it's just something you need to gather the evidence on. But yeah, staying with the trend is a box that we need to tick first. So. But yeah, everything's said and done here. Look, you could go long in a lot of these sort of stocks that have got this particular pattern. Microsoft is another one that comes to mind. That's, you know, not too bearish, not too bullish, sort of in the middle of everything, you know. So we'll get this sort of 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5 up here, something, you know. So we've still got a fair way to travel. So for this one, we'll look, you know, you could get the B wave back here. You could split the bet up here. So if you're, you know, buying 10 shares, you could buy 5 here on the B wave and then 5 above the level. And that way you can manage your risk, because you've got to leave the stop under here, you know, at this point. But yeah, this is a corrective pattern, and this is a bullish pattern. This little pattern in here now is confirmed as also bullish as well, because this move up here has taken these tops out here. So yeah, I think it's all pretty nice, really. Okay. Netflix has been one of the best trending stocks because it's taken out the old highs, and we're working with the 1200, the 1100, 1200, 1300, and then all the levels in between all of that. So yeah, so the only thing I'm not quite sure about here is that because this particular market's got this little move up here, then the ABC. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 up here. I could go that way. Do you know what I mean? So we have wave 4 here, and then wave 5 here, and then have a bit of an ABC pattern and then go up at that point. I could do that, or I could put wave 1 over here and wave 2 here, and then look at this as 1 and 2. So there's 2 ways to count this, and I'm not quite sure of the best way just yet. So I'll just wait for a little bit more price action. The main point here, if you wanted to add to this, let's just assume for a moment that we have 5 waves in this little move here, right? If it drops back to the 1200, then we're left with a top in play there. And if we're left with a top in play there, there's no reason why we can't go long above that. We took part profit coming up in here somewhere. But we can, get back in now, now that we know that it's bullish. How far it goes up here, we'll just have to count these 5 waves, and we'll either have a top of wave 1 in here, or it'll be wave 3, the same as the other markets. So we'll see. But yeah, look, it's the thing about leading stocks is they seem to travel more further than the following stocks. So we can call this one a leader. So the ranges should be quite good in this. Okay, over to Google. Google's a little bit different in that that this low here took out this low, so we can't call that wave 1. So I'll just bring it in as wave 4 here. But once again, we've got this little impulse wave up here that could certainly, in this case here, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, yeah, a bit of a small look. It could push up further, but it's not going to go very far because it's coming into the tops here, right? So all you're waiting for here to get in is some sort of ABC pattern at that point. If you wish to, if you're not in this already and you wanted to get in, we got triggered here on this one. A little bit unfortunate, but that's okay. We know we're trading with the trend, so it's not a big deal. But this is the little B wave that you'll need to get into at that point. But yeah, so that will be that. So just wait for the top to come in and drop back. But this momentum should sort of follow through on the Monday, as I mentioned on the Friday. It's just that we dropped down a little bit low on the Friday before getting going a bit. I don't normally see that. It was a bit of a spanner in the works actually, but anything can happen, I guess. Okay. Microsoft here, so we've been working through this wave 4 here going up to wave 5. We've got wave 1 here, and we've got wave 2 over here, and we'll head up to wave 3, 4, and 5. You could probably trade long here, but we've got enough positions in, so I won't sort of worry about it. As I would have mentioned before, the 465 here is going to also be important here, the 465. That's the lower end of group 2, so we've got 50 here, 5, after 5 is number 8. And then between these numbers here, there's a lot of important numbers like 60 and 70, but 65 and 472 would be the skeleton of group 2. So developing support on this 465 here, that's where you could add to the position there as well. But that's that. Once again, I'm not quite sure if I need to drag this wave 2 over to here for this, or let me just have a look here somewhere. This one. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if I need to look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, or 1, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 in here. But this 460 here, the market's trying to find support on that, as you can see, and on the Monday, at the end of the Monday, in one way or another, it will have support there, and if you can visually see the support, then you could move into this on the long side. But either way, it's pretty clear that we're going to the upside here, and the 480 would be the target area at this point. And now we've got Tesla here, so we've got wave 3, 4 and 5 up here for wave 3, and obviously we still need to come down here a little bit further. I could probably look at this as wave 1 and an ABC, but I'll just stay with this for the time being. And we still need to come down here a little bit lower, so probably to close this gap here and around the 340 area. That's sort of deeper in support at that particular point in time, and then we'll see it push up from there. So really it's all about this number here, the 350. So we've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and now we're looking for some sort of ABC, but we know there's a lot of support in here, and we also know that the rest of the market is bullish as well. So it's going to, you know, all the tide and all boats rise in the tide or whatever. So it'll be a little bit like that. So it should find support in the next session and make a bit of a move to the upside. Okay, over to Bitcoin, and first of all, with Bitcoin, there is a count that can take us up to the current high here, and that can be a top in play at that point. So we know about that. Kitty Pond is covering that count. That's cool. My philosophy with Bitcoin is that it would be moving with the NASDAQ and those tech stocks, and in that instance, I'm putting wave 4 here at this point in time, and we've got a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here for the C wave. So I put this in here on the weekend, and it's moving along quite nicely, but it hasn't proved that it's bullish yet. It's got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, then an ABC, and then it's also got this little move here as well. So it is, once you get support on this level here, the 5,000 here, then we should see it climb at that point, but it doesn't give me a big enough impulse wave. I mean, realistically, we could look at this, as down for 1 and back for 2 or back for 4 and all of these sort of things. So putting wave 4 here is a little bit of a long shot, but I feel reasonably comfortable with it when I've put it in terms with the NASDAQ. Now, the other thing here as well is that I've got it going up for wave 1 here with the normal sort of things, but also just bear in mind that later on when we get up here, we'll need to discuss it a bit further. We could have this as just a wave 3 over here. So there's a couple of ways to look at this as well, the same as the S&P 500 and so on. So just be a little bit mindful of that. And we've also been looking at coin as well, not CoinSpot, Coinbase, whatever it is. So this also being a wave 4 here as well. So we've still got our long trade in here and all that sort of thing, and we're just sort of building to the upside. And I mean, all the market is really doing is trying to find support at this medium level here, the 250, and just to point out here, even though we've just moved up here a little bit, this is still really the arrival. The arrival could be a little bit short, it could be right on the nose, or it could be above it. But it's the arrival because we've still got another high over here. So this is the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and now we're having a correction, and in due course we'll see this push up here into either this wave 1 up here, but once again this wave 3 here may need to come across here as well. We're going to keep our position, we're going to keep our stop out of the way, and we're just going to allow the market to do its own little dance, and we'll just chill on that. And thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the week ahead.